Hi, I'm Brooke from Start at Home, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about my handwritten MDF cutouts and the milk paint that we are now carrying to paint them with. So let's first start out with my cutouts. So, as you can see, this says XOXO for Valentine's Day. These are all handwritten by myself. I handwrite them, turn them into vectors, and then we cut them out. So they're great one-of-a-kind signs, and they're actually cut out of MDF. People don't always know what MDF is. It's kind of like a particle board. But I really like MDF because, as you can see, it has a little bit of give to it, so they don't break quite as easy because they are only a 1/4 inch thick. And I love how it paints. So since they're super smooth, there's no wood grain, so when you're painting them, you get a nice, even, smooth finish. They can be very porous, which is why I really like the milk paint. So we are carrying Sweet Pickins Milk Paint, and it comes, true milk paint comes in the powder form, as you can see. This is the sample size, and the great part about this is that to paint our cutouts, you only need a sample size. So it's only $6, and you'll even have leftovers. So if you wanted to try it out on something else, you totally could do that. But milk paint, I know sometimes can kind of scare people because a lot of pictures you see of stuff that has been painted by milk paint is probably chipping or flaking, or it just is more of a rustic look. But milk paint actually likes to absorb down in, and if it can't absorb down in, then it flakes off. So like I said, since our cutouts are MDF, which are porous, the milk paint actually soaks down into the MDF, and it gives it an awesome finish. It's even more durable than like a latex paint, just because it's soaking down in rather than sitting on the top. So, and the other great part about milk paint too is that it comes in the powder form, so you just mix up what you need and then you can store the other. It's much easier to store, and for shipping purposes, to ship this versus mixed up paint is much easier too, because I don't have to worry about it exploding or making a mess in the package. So today I'm going to kind of show you how to paint with this, and it's pretty easy. You're just going to do 1 part water, 1 part milk paint. So I always start with a little bit because milk paint is milk based, so it's going to spoil if it's left for long. Like if you had a lot left over, you could probably stick it in the fridge for like 6 hours and it would be okay. But much past that, it's going to spoil. So just mix up a little bit. You're going to want water. So this is 1 tablespoon of water that I'm pouring in here. And then we'll do 1 tablespoon of the milk paint. And this is Tickled Pink. It's such a fun blush pink color. All right, dump that in. Stir it up. Now I do sell in our shop the little tiny wire whisks as well, if you want to use that for mixing up. I found that the wire whisks work awesome when you have a lot more milk paint, but since I'm working with just a little tiny bit, this little spatula is perfect because it allows me to kind of scrape the sides. So when you're mixing up milk paint, you're going to mix it until there's no more chunks. The other really great thing about milk paint is you can make it the consistency you want. So if you want it thicker, you add less water, or more powder. If you want it thinner, then you add a little bit more water. And you can just kind of play with it and make it to your consistency. It is definitely a little bit more versatile paint because you're adding the water to it. And if there is some chunks that are left in the bottom, that's okay because this milk paint sands really nice, and so we can just sand the little chunks off. But obviously we want as many chunks as we possibly can out. And the other thing that I found that really helps when you're mixing this is if you add your water first. That way when you put in your powder, it kind of sits on top of the water so it doesn't get stuck down on the bottom. And I am using a shallow dish because it's just easier for me to stir. But you can use really whatever. You have a plastic cup, mix it up in, use it all up, throw it away. That works perfect too. All right, so you can see it's good and mixed. Got most of the chunks out. Now, if you were mixing a bigger or a larger amount of milk paint, I've actually been known to use like one of those milkshake blenders. It really helps to get everything really good and mixed. All right, I think we are good. So now that that's all mixed, move this. We're gonna just start painting this. Now I like to use a little tiny brush, kind of just to begin, just so that I can get down into these little tiny cracks. Just makes it so when I'm painting it's a little bit easier. But if you can kind of see as I'm painting, it's just soaking right down into that MDF. Now, if you don't have a smaller brush, that's totally fine. You can use a bigger brush like this. This is a 3-inch brush. And just dump that in. And you can kind of just dab it down into the corners. As you can see, that works just fine as well. It's a little bit messier, but it's all right. Now, we do also sell these 3-inch brushes. I have the 2-inch brush and the 3-inch brush, and actually for this I would probably recommend the 2-inch, but I put stain in my 2-inch brush, and so I need to go get a new one. But these aren't very expensive. About, I think the 2-inch brush is around $3 to $4, so they're a great brush that if it gets ruined, you just throw it out, get a new one. As you can see, my paint has now dried. The other great thing about milk paint, similar to chalk paint, is that it does dry really fast. So I just wanted to show you how this sands. So as you can see, if you've used chalk paint a lot, it sands very similar to chalk paint. It's just going to come off in kind of a powder. And I am using 220 grit sandpaper to sand this. The reason I use 220 grit is because it's a soft enough sandpaper that it's not going to scratch the surface. So it'll leave a nice smooth finish. Now this is my first coat. The other great thing about the, Sasha's Sweet Pickins Milk Paint is that it has really great pigment in it. So when I'm sanding this, you can see the color isn't changing, it's not getting lighter. All right, so As you can see, let me move this. As you can see, it's all sanded, and this is just one coat. If you wanted to, you could totally go back and do another coat, but I am happy with how it turned out, so I'm going to leave it just like this, and it will be perfect. The great thing about these cutouts is since they are cut out of 1/4 inch thick MDF, they're really light, which makes them super easy to hang on a wall, and you can really hang them anywhere. I actually just use command strips. Let's see, I've got some right in here. I just pick them up at the store, and as you can see, I buy lots of them because I use them all the time. But you can use this kind of command strip where it comes 2 parts. You stick it together like this so it kind of like Velcros together. And then I just cut it down so that it would fit right on here. Or you can cut it that way. Just cut it down. You pull the one side off, pull the other side off, and just stick it right on there. They do have other command strips as well. These are the clear ones. And you put this on the wall side and this on the side of on the cutout, I guess it is. And then you would just pull these off and stick them on there, and then when you're ready to take it off, you just pull this. With this, there isn't like the Velcro type of a thing, so you can't take it off necessarily and reposition it, but it's totally a personal preference. Now, if you don't want to use command strips, you can also use finish nails. I usually just, or even, you can even use pins, like sewing pins. As long as you can get it through your sheetrock, sewing pins will work great. And I put it in some wet milk paint. I just would put a pin here and here just so that it's hanging. And the nice thing about using a pin is that a pinhole on a wall, you can't really see it when you take it down. But since you can use command strips, you can stick these on windows. I use command strips to stick it out on my brick. If you're putting them on brick, you can also use brick clips. And I'll make sure that I link all of this information below and on my blog post so that you can kind of go and check it out a little bit more in detail. I've also hung it on my backsplash. I just put the command strips on, stuck it straight to the tile. So there's so many fun things that you can do with these. And we are constantly coming out with new ones. Like I said, these are my handwriting, so it's kind of fun. They're one of a kind. You're not going to see them duplicated anywhere else. So if you guys have any other questions, please leave it in the comments before. I'm more than happy to answer those questions. And like I said, head over, check out my blog. There will be more information on there as well. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got lots more videos coming. So we'll see you guys again.